The Starlink people believe that 90% of our passengers would happily pay for Wi-Fi access. Our experience sadly tells us we think less than 10% of our passengers pay for this access, and therefore we can't afford to shoulder costs of between 150 or 250 million a year. If Starlink wants to fit the flights, fit our aircraft and pay for the fuel drag, we'd happily put them on board. But the only way we see Starlink working on board our aircraft on short-haul flights is if you give it away for free. And like most things in life, if you give it away for free, passengers will use it. If you want passengers to pay something modest like €1, €2 or $3 on our average 1 hour, 15-minute flights, we think less than 10%, I think, and that's even optimistic, probably less than 5% of passengers will take this up. I thought that was a reasonably measured response to why we're not using Starlink. Elon Musk apparently took great umbrage and resorted to insulting me on X the weekend, calling me an idiot. I think yesterday he also rounded on me and called me a retarded twat. All I would say to Elon Musk is he would have to join the back of a very, 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 very long queue of people who already think I'm a retarded twat, including my 4 teenage children. But we do want to thank him. We've had, I think, 3 or 4 million hits on this seat sale our IT team launched yesterday, which is the Big Idiot seat sale. There's 100,000 seats available for sale at just $16.99, which just goes to show that Europe leads the world in low airfares. There's no airfares like this in North America. And we're later on this morning going round to the ex-offices in Cumberland House to present or to give Elon Musk a free ticket. He doesn't even have to pay the $16.99, a free Ryanair ticket, to thank him for the wonderful boost in publicity, which has seen our bookings rise significantly. They're up about 2 or 3% in the last 5 days, which given our volumes is a very significant boost. So thank you to Mr. Musk. I take no insult at all as being called an idiot or a twat. As anybody with teenage children would know, you're frequently called an idiot and a twat at home. I don't need to go outside to be insulted. But he's wrong on the fuel drag. We noticed he was holding a poll about should he launch a bid for Ryanair. We're a publicly owned company. He's free to do so at any time, but non-European citizens cannot own a majority of European airlines. But if he wants to invest in Ryanair, we would think it's a very good investment, certainly a significantly better investment than the financial returns he's earning on X. And we want to thank him sincerely for the additional publicity. I mean, look, there would clearly be a demand for Wi-Fi on board our aircraft if it was free. You know, other airlines, mainly long-haul carriers like Aer Lingus, like Lufthansa and others, are talking about installing Wi-Fi on board as a facility and giving it out for free. But their average fares, particularly on long-haul, are over €1,000. Our average fares are €45. And we cannot afford that to pay that 150, 250 million cost to install Wi-Fi unless it can be paid for. We have had discussions with Starlink and other providers, Amazon, Vodafone, and others. A lot of it has focused on, is there a way we can jointly put this on board? We'll trial it for you. We give you a platform with 200 and 300 million passengers across Europe, but you pay for it. You sponsor it, or can we get joint sponsorship? There's always ways of which you're looking at creative solutions that might overcome what is our fundamental issue with putting Wi-Fi on board, and that's cost. We don't believe passengers will pay for it, but it would certainly be a welcome addition if we can in some way finance it and put it on board our aircraft for free. Right. Yeah, and we've had many years of experience. You get on board our aircraft, lots of people are there on 1 hour flights, but they're on their laptop, they have Netflix and all this kind of stuff. We don't believe there is significant demand on the basis that people would pay for it on 1 hour flights. Sorry.
Michael, Stephen Murphy, Sky News.
Stephen, you're welcome.
On X has now called you an insufferable chimp. Is that kind of rhetoric really insulting to the chimpanzee community? And should anyone take this spat seriously at all? I mean, the share price hasn't moved much. EU regulations prevent them from trying to buy Ryanair in any case. Is this not just a case of two highly successful, publicity-hungry businessmen trading immature barbs at each other to get tons of free publicity?
I think that's a very unfair characterisation. I do think it's unfair on chimps. But, it is very good for our bookings. And, you know, if we can prolong these kind of, we love these PR spats that drive bookings on Ryanair. I'm sure it does wonders for Elon Musk and his X or whatever subscribers he has on X as well to be fighting with somebody. But, you know, if it's, as long as it doesn't involve safety, and we've never compromised on safety, any of these spats are great for bookings and great for awareness all over Europe.
But he's putting humanity on Mars, and you're saying he doesn't know anything about aerodynamics.
Well, I mean, that's pretty self-evident. You know, his claim is that there is no aerodynamic drag by putting aerials on top of, you know, which comes as a great surprise to both Boeing and Airbus, who have spent literally 100 years refining the aerodynamics of aircraft. I mean, we're fitting little winglets on the side of our, scimitar winglets on the side of the wings of our aircraft at a cost of, you know, a couple of $100,000. But they save about 2 or 3%. They improve. So tiny little amounts of improvements in fuel drag result in very significant fuel savings. But tiny impediments like aerials hanging off aircraft would add to costs. But we're very happy to continue the controversy. I welcome, I welcome the accusation that I'm a chimp. I think it's somewhat unfair on the chimp community, but chimp, as long as it increases Ryanair bookings through January, February and March, it's all good fun and entertainment. Yes, sir.
You described X as a cesspit.
Yes.
In style of Elon Musk, do you think X would be less of a cesspit if it was led by somebody called Ryan? And who would your preference of Ryan be?
Look, I mean, I have very little time. I do believe social media, X in particular, is a cesspit. I'm not a member, never have subscribed, don't participate in it. But I find my personal objection to social media is anonymity. I mean, we have numerous examples of, you know, people being, Simon Harris's family being threatened anonymously on these things. You know, and you go through enormous. I fail to understand why, if you want to put something up on social media, put it up under your own name. And, you know, I hear this nonsense defense, in Iran, you know, well, not in America, not in Europe. Your freedom of speech is protected in the US and in Europe. And I fundamentally disagree. I believe that governments should now legislate, both in Europe and in the US, to remove anonymity. Post away to your heart's content, but put it out under your own name. And if you want to slag off politicians, or if you want to, you know, make false claims about safety. I mean, we had this originally earlier on back in the website days. You know, people were posting stuff on anonymous websites claiming that Ryanair was unsafe, and you know he was a pilot at 23. We went through the Californian courts and found out eventually it was some 17-year-old in Navan sitting in his PJs, you know, making up this stuff. So I would just remove anonymity, and you know, people have freedom of speech, but you have to be responsible for what you say. And I fail to understand why you have things like X, and it's not the only social media which protects anonymity, which gives all these keyboard warriors the right. And I think the most recent controversy with Grok, you know, undressing children or undressing women is frankly offensive. I don't understand why governments don't make it illegal. That's nothing to do with freedom of speech. Women and children, and the occasional man, I presume as well, should be protected from not having your images nudified. There's enough porn out there for those who want to watch porn. But, you know, I think it is a social media and, you know, things that enable nudification or paedophilia or, you know, child abuse, and there's lots of cases of that, should be outlawed. But the easiest way to do it is remove anonymity. Yes?
Why not